Hey guys, welcome back to Cam's Corner 2.0. I'm your host as always, Camden Riviere. Very special day today. It's our final part 4 of our volley progression. And I've decided to make today a special episode where I'm actually going to go through my mindset and movement pattern to cover main wall Dedans, which is the hardest of our volley progression. We've talked about how to volley at the net, how to volley in front of the tambour, and how to defend straight forces. And this main wall Dedans is obviously the hardest of the progressions, and it's not one that you may have to deal with. But I thought I'd give you a little inside look into my mindset, my movement, and what I'm trying to do when I'm defending these balls that are hit at 1,000,000 miles an hour at me. And to start off with, we're gonna literally start with how we get into this point, okay? So we've hit our serve, and I can hit as good of a serve as I like. At the top level, these guys have the ability to hit this main wall and then into the Dedans off of pretty much any shot. And what I'm looking for is any sign from them that they're going to be forcing that ball. So the first sign is that they don't volley it generally. They've left that ball to the back wall. And so by seeing that they've gone to the back wall, I know that I've limited their options to a force or a controlled shot. And then I'm looking for their racket head movement to see whether or not they're looking like they're going to cut the ball or whether or not they're looking like they're going to drop that racket head and hit a force through it. All right, so I'm basically sliding across to the middle, right? I'm noticing and I'm looking for that ball. I'm noticing whether or not they're going down the line or cross court. And once I've decided from my visual that they're going to go cross court, that's when I can start to do a lean. Now, I say a lean, not a step, cross court. The reason for that is that we've talked about in the past how often that ball comes to the middle. And if I take one step from the middle, if they hit that main wall short, I am now too close to that ball. And I'm going to have to try and take it inside my body. And one of the key things that I'm trying to do with this shot is to let that ball get next to me so that I have more time to see it and I can take it deeper in my stance. And now a fun fact for you right-handers, this is where you technically have an advantage. Because on your forehand, you can let that ball get so far behind you and still volley it. Whereas for me on my backhand, I'm limited in how far behind me I can take that ball. But the key to it is that you really have to let that ball get next to you. If we get too close to that ball, it's now coming into our body, which means we have to make our contact out in front. And look at what's happened. We've broken all of the rules that we set through our progression, right? We're not turned. We're not facing sideways to use our shoulders, right? We're not stepping into that ball. We're not going to be able to finish with our racket head up because we're in our own way. We're going to finish down. So we've broken all of our initial rules that we set to be solid on the volley. Even as difficult of a shot as this is, we still have to focus on our basics if we're going to get that ball back. We have to make sure that we put the racket head through the line of the ball. We have to make sure that our weight's going into that shot and that we finish high to ensure that it goes over the net. The basics are still there, just at a much more accelerated level. So as that ball is coming in, I've now made the decision. It's going to be a main wall Dedans. I've leaned, and as they're hitting the ball, I'm sliding back into position. Now notice my racket head. Notice that movement. I was from my ready position. My racket head has not moved height-wise. I've kept it up and elevated so that I can just put it through the line of the ball. Look at my shoulders. They're turned, and my weight is on my right leg so that when that ball comes in, I'm ready to make an adjustment. If that ball jumps off the front wall, I'm ready to go this way. If that ball jumps off deep, I'm ready to go this way. And if it drops back, a super deep main wall, I'm now ready to come backwards and get that ball. But my racket head has stayed level and constant the whole time. And what I'm not doing at all in this is I'm not swinging. My only goal is to put the racket face on the ball and let the pace of the ball carry itself back over the net. The more you try to swing through this shot, the less likely you are to get it back. And now, guys, I understand that this is not a shot that many of you are dealing with all the time. It's not one that you may have ever dealt with. But I wanted to give you an inside look. And if it is something that you occasionally have to deal with, or you're progressing through to a high level of court tennis and you're struggling with this, the key thing I can say is keep your distance from that ball. This shot is a lot easier if you have room to step in, just like we talked about on all these other shots. If you have the ability to turn sideways and comfortably step towards that ball to go get it, you're much more likely to do the other basic parts of the shot right, which is what we have to do to get that ball back. If you try to just put yourself in front of that ball to make sure that it doesn't go in, you're less likely to step towards it and we're more likely to do things wrong. You're also going to lose confidence in your ability to get this shot back. All right, so think about creating that distance, giving yourself room to step in, and making sure that that racket head stays nice and flat, no swing. All right, so now I'm going to try and get some back so you can see what it looks like at full pace.